The first contact didn't begin with peace talks or shared languages. It started with laughter. Piercing, guttural, unapologetic laughter. The Valkyrie Dominion, a coalition of warrior women from across the stars, had intercepted Earth's desperate broadcast for diplomatic contact. The message, crafted by scientists and hopeful politicians, offered peace, culture, and unity. To the Valkyrie, it was weak, soft, a plea for relevance from a dying blue marble in the galactic dust. Their emissary ship landed in low orbit over Earth, cloaked in silver plates, radiating elegance and deadly precision. 10 Valkyrie stepped onto Earth soil, 2 heads taller than most men, armored in crystalline combat suits, each carrying ceremonial blades etched with histories of bloodshed. They were elite, bred for dominance and trained in every art of war. They expected to find chaos. They expected to find fear. What they found was him. Julian Rios was not a soldier, not in the way they measured it. He was a planetary xenolinguist, recruited by the Terran Outreach Initiative because he could translate over 40 interstellar dialects and calm a room with a glance. When he walked into the Earth Valkyrie meeting chamber in Nairobi, dressed not in armor, but in a simple black suit with neural lace threading his spine, he didn't project dominance. He projected clarity, presence, control. The Valkyrie commander, High Blade General Saraxa, gave him a dismissive glance. "This male is your speaker," she asked, voice laced with contempt. Julian didn't flinch. "I am Earth's voice today. Will you listen?" Saraxa smirked, turning to her second-in-command. "They send a pet to bark." But then Julian spoke in the Valkyrie's native tongue, Uruvith, an ancient, guttural rhythm few non-Valkyrie could pronounce without choking. He didn't just speak it. He owned it, clean, commanding, with subtle intonations that mimicked warrior cadence. It silenced the room. One of the younger Valkyrie warriors whispered to another, "He speaks like a Blade Warden." Saraxa narrowed her eyes. "Where did you learn this tongue?" Julian smiled faintly. "From your songs of conquest, which I studied while your fleet hovered over our world." Silence. "Speak then," Saraxa said, intrigued now. "Impress me, Earthling." Over the next 2 hours, Julian did what Earth's diplomats had failed to do for decades. He didn't beg, he didn't posture. He made them feel Earth's story, not just its wars, but its endurance. He recited human history as if it were epic poetry, told of oceans survived, skies mastered, species lifted. He described the Maya who charted stars, the Zulu who fought empires, the Inuit who conquered ice, the women who led revolutions. He told them Earth was scarred but unbroken, and he did it with fire in his voice and stillness in his stance. At the end, Saraxa studied him long. "You speak like one of us," she said slowly, "but you are soft. You wear no armor." Julian unbuttoned his sleeve and revealed the scar that ran from wrist to elbow. "I bled in the firestorms of Europa when the machines turned. I don't need metal to prove my worth." One of the Valkyrie warriors, Rika, broad-shouldered and golden-eyed, stepped forward and tapped her blade to the floor. "He would survive the gauntlet." Julian raised an eyebrow. "What's the gauntlet?" Rika grinned. "Trial by ordeal, a test of will, wit, and endurance." Saraxa scoffed. "He would die." Julian met her gaze. "Try me?" What followed became legend. Julian entered the gauntlet with nothing but light armor and a mind sharpened by years of study. It was not just physical, though it tested him with venomous beasts, collapsing tunnels, and searing heat. It tested psychology, fear response, decision-making. On day 2, he had to choose between saving himself or a fellow trial runner. He chose her. She lived. He nearly didn't. The Valkyrie watched every moment. When he stumbled out of the gauntlet on the 5th day, bleeding and bruised but alive, the mocking tones in the Valkyrie halls had gone silent. Where once they had laughed, now they saluted. Saraxa met him again. "You surprised me, Earthman." Julian, leaning heavily on a staff, gave her a crooked grin. "That's sort of our thing." The diplomatic tide turned. The Valkyrie didn't offer Earth full alliance. Not yet, but they agreed to observe, share, learn, and they agreed to allow a cultural envoy aboard their flagship, the Crimson Veil, for one full cycle. They requested Julian. At first, it was pure politics, but something deeper began to grow. Julian and Rika spent hours together, at first sparring, then training, then talking. She showed him the stars from her homeworld's memory vaults, sung songs only her sisters knew. He showed her jazz, cooked her real food from scratch, told her how his mother read him stories about ships among the stars. Their bond was more than curiosity. It was trust. During a joint mission to rescue a Valkyrie scout ship from a collapsing singularity pocket, Rika was nearly killed. Julian disobeyed orders, hijacked a dropcraft, and pulled her out himself. When she awoke injured, he sat beside her, eyes red with worry. "You risked war," she whispered. "I risked you," he said. They kissed in the medbay's low-gravity chamber, drifting together like twin moons caught in the same orbit. Word spread. The Valkyrie had mocked Earth, but now their strongest warrior had fallen for its softest voice, and their laughter had become respect. Sarexa visited Julian a week later. "You've altered us, Earthman. You've shown us that strength is not always loud, that conviction can wear a smile." Julian inclined his head. "We've spent centuries afraid of being seen. I think it's time we're understood." The Valkyrie agreed to an Earth liaison station aboard their flagship, and Julian became its first ambassador. Not in title. In truth, years passed. Julian and Rika became symbols of unity, a warrior and a speaker, fire and wind. On their final return to Earth, the sky was filled with Valkyrie ships. Not as invaders, but as guests. Earth stood taller that day, because someone they'd nearly dismissed, a quiet man, armed only with voice and grit, had shown the galaxy that Earth had more to offer than firepower. It had heart. And hearts could move worlds.